topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Houston. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where for the last 16 years we have brought you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Hey, I have got a great show for you for the next 50 minutes. It is such an important topic, and it seems like the letters we get are from wives whose husbands owe the IRS, who are really worried. And I didn't even warn our great expert, Barry Fowler of Taxation Solutions. I have a couple wives that want to know, how do you talk your husband into from avoiding these letters you're getting from the IRS? And we'll talk about that in a minute. But let me welcome you to our long-running expert, Barry Fowler of Taxation Solutions. Good morning, Barry.
Hey, good morning. Happy New Year. Man, it's another great start. Now, you had me worried when you told me you didn't warn me about a couple of wives, and I was going, Steve, you have a couple of wives? We've got a problem here, and I'm not a marriage counselor or a lawyer, so at least you
leave it to Fowler. He's always got a sense of humor, always.
At least you clarified that they had to deal with their husbands, so it was other people's wives, not you had multiple. So, hey, we got to start the new year off having a little bit of fun, because talking about taxes, talking about IRS debt is not really a laughing matter, but other things you got to have a little bit of sense of humor with, and then you've got to really deal with the serious things to get your wife off your back when you have a tax problem.
Hey, Barry, I heard it's crazy at the IRS. Is there any truth to that?
Crazy?
That they're so out. It's crazy, meaning that they are low on employees, and they are so far behind, but they're going to catch you. If you're getting those letters, they're going to catch up with you.
Hey, there's two things, Steve. Everybody at the IRS I consider is crazy anyway, so that's where I thought you were going with it. But things are crazy there because, yes, they're right now trying to reprogram all their computer systems for the next year's taxes. They've got to deal with all the tax problems that are out there. Their computer systems have gotten better over the years. Now, there are still some antiquated parts of the system, which we think they should be able to e-file every year possible, but it's only the last 3 years that you can e-file. They, have to deal with less staff because of the cutbacks and stuff, but the computers keep generating letters. The computers keep moving things through the system so that collections is becoming more and more automated. But yet, when you need to put a solution in place, maybe like a low payment plan or a partial pay installment agreement or offering compromise or even non-collectible, you've got to go through somebody at the IRS. And a lot of these people don't even know what they're doing. And so that's why you really need a tax professional on your side working for you to help you through that situation. Now, if you want a full pay, I'll be honest, go right onto the IRS website, log in, you get an account over there, and you can go in and set up a payment plan if you qualify. If you don't qualify, get a pro. get somebody that's going to help you deal with the problem and get you the right solution.
I want to address these wives that they're really nervous because they don't know if the IRS can come after them also. But and you hear about this all the time. I know you do, Barry, that people just kind of stick their head in the sand, think it's going to go away. And these two letters wanted to know, what should they do to convince their husbands to call Taxation Solutions?
Well, if they're not man enough to call Taxation Solutions right now, do his job and pick up the phone and call. It's 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. We'll talk you through it. We'll help you through it. If you are filing a joint tax return, you are both jointly liable for that debt. Now, if you're filing separate, or it was debt before you got married, that would be his own personal debt. Now, the one thing that I will warn every wife or every husband, whoever doesn't have the tax debt, if it's not joint tax debt, if you have joint bank accounts, they can take every dime that's in that account. So it's whether it's yours or his, that money is accessible from and by the IRS. So if you are filing married separate, or it was pre-debt, you might want to keep your funds separate. Now, if his money goes into that account, it means he's probably a signer on the account. It means it's accessible by the IRS for collections. So you just need to be aware of that. A joint debt isn't going to matter. They can come after yours. They can go after his. Now, get this. Many people don't talk about this. If your Social Security number and you have debt with the IRS and you have accounts for your kids and your Social Security number's on it, that's accessible by the IRS, including people who may be sitting there and going, hey, I've got a joint account with one of my parents because they can't manage their money right now, so I'm trying to help them. And so they put me as a signer and my Social Security number on that account. Their money is accessible by the IRS as well, because hey, the IRS thinks anything with your Social Security number is theirs. And so they will go after that money. So just be aware of that, as well. Since, one of the things and the biggest point we have here with Ask the Experts is getting information out to people to help you make better decisions for if you're dealing with a tax problem, or even if you're getting your taxes done. Making sure you're making the right decision and you have the information to be able to help you, guide you through getting a solution to the problem or doing your taxes.
Barry, also, I just got a text here. The expression red flag. How do you keep your account with the IRS from being red flagged?
We've always heard that term for years. The red flags to me is just making blatant errors. Not declaring all your income. So if you're getting 1099s, you don't put all your 1099s on there. You mess up and don't put all your W-2s on there. Those automatically generate the red flags. Taking deductions that are not true and correct. So we've seen people come in and we deal with a lot of truckers where they went to other people and other preparers and they just make up numbers or they use round numbers. Well, those are considered red flags because they don't look like real numbers to the IRS. And you got to understand the computer systems that they use nowadays will look at those things. If let's say fuel is around number 50,000 and repairs and maintenance is 20,000. Do you know how hard it is to have that exact number on any account that's out there, such as things like fuel, maintenance, office supplies, all these things? When you go to the store, you're not going to buy something for $100. It's going to be 101 or 105 or 125. So it's always going to be those kind of numbers out there. It's not going to be an exact round number. So those kind of are some of the red flags that you have there. Sometimes even getting earned income credit, depending on how you got there, can be a red flag, because a lot of preparers decide that you were a small business and you lost money. And that loss of money in your business that you never had, by the way, got you the earned income credit. So the person that looks really good is that preparer. The person that's going to look really bad to the IRS is you, because you signed it under penalties of perjury and you knew you didn't have a business. So, why are we signing a return that all of a sudden has a business on there and making these deductions just to get earned income credit? I understand everybody needs money and wants money, but hey, don't commit fraud. Make sure you're doing things right. It doesn't mean don't take the deductions, because maybe, if you are running a business and you truly lost money and you can support what you have on your tax return, by all means, take it. If the IRS audits you, get representation. And we have then, because you have the support, we would have the support to go before the IRS and say, no, the numbers are true and correct, and here's why, and give them the information. So you don't worry about that. You just worry when you're going to do things wrong, or somebody else is doing things wrong on your behalf that you sign under penalties of perjury.
This is from Mason in Lamarck. I don't know if it's his first name or last name. He said, could you start talking more about businesses getting in trouble with the IRS? I understand how important it is for individuals, but there's a lot of us business owners who listen to your show. Hey, that's a good question.
Hey, yeah. Mason, hey, great question. You're down on the mark. If you're in a business and you do have a tax problem, hey, call us, because you need some help and get the IRS off your back. And that number is 877-996-6477. We'll even today, if you call in, do a free tax analysis for you. That's a $1,200 savings right there. Mentioned you heard it here on Ask the Expert. So Mason, give us a call right now. Let us do that for you. Just to get started and let you know, hey, this is what the IRS has got going on. Business problems. Most business problems are payroll tax related. The other business problems that you have are filing tax returns late. So if you're filing a partnership return or you're filing a S Corp return late, you get the penalties that can add up to being quite a bit, depending on how many partners or members you have in the S Corp. But the biggest one is that payroll tax. Being a business owner, you look at how much money you pay in payroll. And that's not, the first thing you look at is how much I paid my employee, because you're looking at their check. But then you withheld money from the employee's check for federal withholding. You withheld for Social Security, Medicare. You withheld also matching taxes for the business for Social Security and Medicare, and then state unemployment. Well, all those taxes got to be paid to the IRS. Now, the first couple, the federal withholding and the Social Security and Medicare you withhold from your employee's check, is withheld as a trust fund, meaning that you were in trust to send that to the IRS with that after that payroll. Now, those payroll taxes, every part of the first of the year, the IRS sends you letters and says, here's how you got to file your payroll taxes, and you got to follow it. Most of the time, we tell people to pay it right with the payroll, so it goes out at the same time and you don't have any problems. But when you don't pay it in, that trust fund can result in not just a penalty for failure to pay, could be a failure to file the 941. And then if you continue to not pay it in, the IRS will issue you a trust fund penalty on top of it, which is then assessed against you personally, and you are personally liable for that trust fund penalty. The penalties amount on that you really, really don't want to get in trouble with the IRS over payroll taxes because of the penalties, because of the interest, because it could be the death nail to your business as well. If you're dealing with a payroll tax problem, you need to get help. And that means you need to call taxationsolutions.net, Taxation Solutions Tax Relief. We're 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. Now, we are A+ rated at the BBB. So, hey, look us up. We're here to help get these problems off your back. And as a business owner, you really don't want these problems to be lingering over you very long. You really want to get these things put to bed, whether it's an installment agreement or whether it's a full pay. You want to prevent it before you get a revenue officer assigned. And then once you're dealing with the revenue officer, hey, IRS gloves have come off and they are coming after you tooth and nail, ready to fight. So you need somebody that's going to be in that ring fighting for you, keeping you outside of the ring so that you're never having to deal with the IRS. But those business problems can really mount quickly.
Hey, Barry, there's a lot of people opening up a new business. And do you, actually, I know the answer to this, but I just want to ask you, do you help people set up their business?
Well, Steve, what we do is we do a lot of consulting for new businesses. So people think of taxationsolutions.net as just putting a solution in place for your IRS problem. But
Right.
we do business taxes, we do personal taxes. We are here with the solution to keep you out of trouble. Now, with new startups, we've got a friend that's a lawyer that actually will incorporate your business, whether it's an LLC or Inc. But we'll get the employer identification number. We'll do all the advising for you on your new business. And we love to help make sure you're getting started on the right foot, because many, many businesses that do come to us have gotten started on the wrong foot. They didn't look at the employer
Right.
identification number letter that you get from the IRS. This is how you got to file. There's many tax preparers out there that never even ask for that to verify how you're supposed to file. You just go in and say, hey, I'm an S Corp, or hey, I'm an LLC, single member. And, they go in and file the way they think they should be filing versus the way the IRS requires it to be filed. So you want to get off on the right foot. You want to make sure you got an advisor. You want to make sure you got somebody that can be your sounding board. Sometimes when you're making decisions in business, you just need somebody that's going to be kind of like a friend, but has more information than a friend, that actually knows what they're doing, has the knowledge, has maybe started up 3 or 4 of his own businesses and been very successful. Yeah, I've done that. I've helped hundreds of people establish their business and get them off on the ground, and they've been very, very successful. Many people who jump into business and don't have that kind of advisor, fail in the first 2, 3 to 5 years. And not saying having an advisor is going to make you successful, but it gives you a better shot at being successful because you do have that sounding board. You have somebody that's going to knock you upside the head and say, no, that isn't going to work. That isn't right. Just because somebody at the bar said, hey, this can be done, doesn't make it right.
Right.
That bar knowledge that you got is worth what you paid for. Zip, zero, nada. It's like we talk to many owner operators, truck drivers across the country, and they get fuel pump tax knowledge. And I asked them, how much did they pay for that knowledge? And they went, nothing. It was just a friend that I just met at the pump, but he said he does this. Well, your friend is absolutely wrong. So it was worth what you paid. Did you pay him? No. Okay, it was worth zip, zero, nada.
Right.
Don't jump off the bridge just because some monkey told you to. You got to go through this and say, hey, this makes sense. So having a financial advisor on your side, somebody that's an expert in taxes, such as myself. I'm an enrolled agent, which means I'm licensed by the U.S. Department of Treasury to represent taxpayers to the highest level of the IRS. It means I have more knowledge than most people at the IRS do. And I have tons of knowledge and experience in taxes, tax resolution, saving people money on their taxes all across the country, all the time. And that's what we get to do.
It's funny, Barry. We've been doing the show so long together. And every time you talk about your knowledge, I always think about that story when you were talking to an IRS agent that you actually knew more than they did, and you ended up having to go over their head. Now, it's not a thing that happens every day, but I just want people to understand how knowledgeable you really are. And you're the guy I want in that fight with the IRS, because they are very good at what they do.
Yeah, even when they're not knowledgeable, they're good at what they do. I mean, they come across to the everyday person that, hey, they know what they're doing. They're quoting supposedly, oh, it's in the manual. Well, I know the manual inside and out. I've read it multiple times. I've read the changes that are manual. And I'll ask somebody, where? Well, that's not where it is, and that's not what it says. This is what it is. So we were dealing with this agent out there, and the agent was telling me that just this wasn't possible and this wasn't going to happen, and I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. And sometimes I really want to use some curse words and tell them, hey,
Yes.
where their head is and pull it out of there. But I was really nice and just insistent, and then asked for his manager and went over his head and got what I needed absolutely done. And the manager goes, well, he should have never been that way. He should have never done that. Matter of fact, this guy got belligerent with me and was going off on me, telling me that I was absolutely wrong. And, I just kind of shook my head while he was on the phone and said, okay, I just got to be nice and move on. And so, we got to the manager, we got our stuff done, we got our stuff for our client, and we were absolutely right. And the manager only asked me, he goes, so, what was the problem? I said, I told him exactly what the whole problem was. And he goes, wow, this guy's got a little bit of experience, but, he's never been that way. I said, well, he's never had anybody quote him the Internal Revenue Manual to him verbatim, section and code, and he didn't like it. And she goes, you know the code? I said, I know the code because I represent my clients, and I need to have more knowledge than anybody else so we can actually get the right solutions in place. I said, otherwise, I'm no better than, the husband or the wife that's calling and knows nothing about IRS code or regulations, and they just accept whatever you say. It can't be that way. It's got to be somebody that has the qualifications and the knowledge to help you. And I'll be honest, not every CPA, not every enrolled agent has the knowledge and the experience to actually deal with the IRS to get you the best solution. If you look at us, and I always tell people, hey, look, if you're not sure about taxation solutions, tax relief, the first place I would go is the BBB. Look at the ratings over there. Look at the reviews over there. And, if you're looking at the reviews, look at the answers to the reviews. Look at the things that are there. We're A+ rated with the BBB. And I don't ask anybody to go over and do a review for me. So, I help hundreds of clients every year fight their tax problems. They tell us thank you, how appreciative they are. A few of them every now and then will go over to the BBB and put in the ratings out there. But we keep our ratings because we do our job. We do what we say we're going to do when we're dealing with the clients. Now, Steve, there's sometimes we tell somebody that, hey, look, you're just going to qualify for an installment agreement. Maybe I can get you a partial pay installment agreement. And then all of a sudden I can convert them and get them into something better, like a offer and compromise. And, hey, we will move to the direction we need to move to help you the best way possible. There's sometimes we can reset things in your life to help you out. And that's what we try to do, is we do everything we can to help you get through this problem so you can live your life without looking over your shoulder, without burying your head in the sand, and not having to live with the threat of the IRS every day.
So, Barry, I got a little surprise for you today.
You're sending me $1 million. Yes.
Yes. Can you hold it for a couple days? So, because we get so many letters, I was thinking the other day that we're going to have one email that's going to be kind of like the email of the show. And I think that this email that I found was perfect for it. Kind of gave me the idea. This is in Matt in Sugarland. He said, I watch a lot of podcasts. I want to tell you, I appreciate your show so much because most podcasts today sound like one long info commercial. I learned so much from your podcast. I've even started watching you on your other show on Mondays. But I just wanted to write you, and I never have done this before. I really appreciate your show for really educating us and not sounding like one big commercial. Wow.
Wow.
How about
Thank
that
you.
for the email of the show?
Now, hey, just in case, so we can make it sound like a commercial here for them. If you have a tax problem, call us at Taxation Solutions. You can go to taxationsolutions.net. Our phone number is 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. And that is your commercial for the day. Just because you asked for it, you know. So don't say, hey, we don't cater to people. We cater to what you want.
Barry, you also will help people if they're being audited. That's another portion of your business. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, audits these days are not usually in person. They are mostly remote audits and correspondence audits and everything, but they're still time consuming. They are still confrontational in most people's minds. And when you can't talk to somebody, you're even more frustrated than you are sometimes sitting with an auditor. Although that auditor, when you're sitting with them, are very intimidating themselves, and it can become confrontational. So it doesn't matter what kind of audit you're going through, whether it's correspondence or in person, we can help you. We actually love doing it because we love beating the IRS. It puts a smile on our face. And then, you know, when we walk away from the audit, especially when you have got the evidence and the proof that helps us, or we help you put it together the right way so it clarifies it for the IRS, you know, we enjoy it. We get enjoyment out of it. It makes my day when I leave or finish an audit and I know I've been 100%, 75%, or 90% successful. The times I don't like doing the audits is when you have zip, zero, nada information. Then we know we need to get you out of the audit as quick as possible so they don't open up the prior year or the year coming forward. Because if you got no information, that IRS auditor is more apt to just open up more years. And now you got even bigger problems than you have if we can get that audit closed as quick as possible as well. So everybody's situation is different. Nothing's a cookie cutter around here. We don't take one single approach to things. We will sit down and look at it with you and go through the information to see what's going to be the best route. We had a guy that called us up. He was honest. He goes, Mr. Fowler, I have zero information. Matter of fact, all I had was income and I really didn't have any expenses. Well, what are all these expenses on there? Well, the preparer said we can use ordinary and necessary, whatever he thought was right. And you signed it. Yes, sir, because he was a tax professional. Was he an enrolled agent? Was his CPA? No. But he could prepare returns. He had that P some number, okay? Prepare taxpayer tax identification number, and PTIN. Great. Well, doesn't make him an expert at what he was doing. Matter of fact, that expert that you thought was an expert has no knowledge of what he does tax-wise, and he's gotten you in trouble. Let's get you out of this. How long have you been using him? For the last 5 years. let's get this audit closed as quick as possible. And so we managed to get it closed, get through that. We helped him find some information. So he got some tax deductions that he didn't think he should have or could have. And then we asked the auditors to go ahead and close the audit. Well, we didn't have enough information to be able to do that. And the auditor closed it. We got out of it with 1 year. If he would have continued down the path he had, he would have been audited probably the year prior, maybe even the 2 years prior. And then he would have been audited for the current years, and he would have been owing a ton more money. So sometimes it's getting out of these things that make things work for you, but you got to have the right representation. And I don't care if it's a audit. I don't care if it's IRS debt, and I don't care if it's just preparing a tax return. You got to have the right person, the right company to work with, to do things the right way, to get you, either the lowest amount of taxes owed, to get your tax debt settled, or get your audit done and over with.
Barry, one of the things I learned from the letters that come in, that people are embarrassed. They're embarrassed because they owe taxes. And I got to tell you, and I'll never forget this, you have what you call the no judgment zone. And I want people you don't have to listen. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody does. And this is all Barry does, his company. So I love the expression you came up with, the no judgment zone, because I didn't realize there's so many people out there who just flat out embarrassed.
Well, Steve, you got to think about it. I mean, there's a lot of things we all do in life that you have a question and you kind of get embarrassed to ask anybody that question, whether you know, sometimes you're calling maybe an electrician or a plumber or something else, and you're embarrassed because, the toilet's clogged and you don't know what to do. Or, you decide, hey, I'm going to DIY it via YouTube. That's all available out there. But you do that because, one, you're afraid of spending money. Two, you're afraid of the judgment. You're afraid somebody's going to look down upon you. And that's not what happens here at Taxation Solutions. I mean, we're here to help. And it's really what the whole thing's about, is ensuring that you have access to somebody that's a professional, somebody that has the knowledge, somebody that can fight for you against the IRS and save you from their collections. Now, you're not going to call anybody, or you don't feel good about calling anybody that's going to say, well, hey, you're an idiot for owing the IRS money, or, hey, why would you manage to do that?
Yes.
Hey, things happen in life. We've seen people that come to us with tax returns and we know they're 100% wrong. But one of the things we know is you went to somebody you thought was a professional that you could have trusted. They did things and they put a tax return in front of you and said, sign here. And that's it. Realistically, the only question you asked was, how much money am I getting back?
Right.
Or if you owed money, is, why do I owe money? And then that preparer, because he has only preparer credentials, decided, well, I need to look better. And, I can revise this. I can make this better for you. And now you got a refund. And you went, yay. Hey, and then the IRS came back and said, no, you're completely wrong. Hey, not your fault. You trusted somebody to do things the right way. The other side of it is, hey, we were just talking about business startups. Well, one of the reasons to have somebody like us on your side when you're starting a business is to be able to give you the tax knowledge, to be able to say, hey, you need to make estimated tax payments, and here's why. Or you need to set this money aside for estimated taxes, so that come April 15th next year, when you owe money because your business is being successful, you have enough money set aside. See, most people out there if you got money in your pocket, you're spending it. Yeah, I know I do. If I'm carrying cash, I'm more apt to spend it. And if you're successful and you have money, sometimes you're more apt to spend it. Now, maybe it's your wife or significant other that spends it for you. It doesn't matter. It gets spent because it's available to be out there. And so sometimes having that separate savings for taxes really helps set aside that money so that you can pay it. But it's got to have somebody that's going to be knowledgeable to do it. We're not passing judgment of what the reasons are you owe money. We're just trying to figure out how we can help make your life better, how we can get the IRS off your back. And then since you're being successful, how do we make sure that you're planning every year and doing things the right way to make sure that your estimated taxes are paid, make sure you got the money to pay the taxes that may be due on April 15th, so you're not in this situation going forward in the future. That makes your life a heck of a lot better than just being able to go, oh my God, I owe another $10,000 or $20,000. What am I going to do? Stick my head back in the sand and it'll go away. No, we don't want you to do that. We want to work with you to help you and make your life better. So there's no judgment here. It's just help.
They didn't give a name. They wanted to know, if I were to hire you, does the IRS look down when you hire an agent like yourself?
No, they actually look up to me because they got to look up to the smarter person. No, they don't look down upon you or anything else. They don't hold it against you. You have a right to representation. It's part of the Bill of Rights that the IRS offers you. And if you're talking to an IRS agent, they're going to tell you, you don't need representation. We're going to help you. I said this before. Ronald Reagan said it best. When somebody comes to you and says, I'm from the government and I'm here to help, run.
Yeah.
I think it's run, Forrest, run. But it is run, or hang up the phone. Call Taxation Solutions. We are here to help. And I'm not from the government. I am with taxationsolutions.net. Call us at 877-996-6477. And, I say that honestly because if you think about it, who does the revenue agent or revenue officer work for? The IRS. Who does the IRS work for? U.S. Department of Treasury. Who is the U.S. Department of Treasury? U.S. government. What is their only job? Collect money. Nowhere in that job description does it say to help you or I. It says purely you are here to do collections. Now, they try to provide customer service to get more money. They try to provide customer service so you have the knowledge. If you need information to prepare your tax return, you could call them and ask them, and then they'll go, yeah, I don't know. But thanks for calling. We appreciate it. Is there anything else we can do for you? That didn't answer my question. Well, you can ask for a private letter ruling. How do I do that? You can look it up at the IRS website. Great. So that's why, Taxation Solutions is here. We've got the knowledge. We are actually here to help you, versus what the IRS may be thinking is we're not necessary, because I know they don't like dealing with us because we know more than they do. They know that we're going to get done with the things that need to be getting done. And we know how to work through the systems, versus you. All they want is the money. They're here to help you pay them as much as they can get.
Hey, Barry, isn't there a show on Mondays right after our show, my Ask the Expert show?
Yeah, you need to start doing a better job promoting it. It's called Tax Talk for You. We're right there Mondays, right after you. So during your show on Mondays, you should just tell everybody to stay tuned to Tax Talk for You. So when you're listening to Ask the Experts on Mondays, hey, just stay tuned in at W4CY Radio. There'll be a few commercials before you get to us, but then, hey, the next thing you know is you're listening to Tax Talk for You. And hey, the same place you can get these shows on podcasts, iHeart, Spotify, Speaker. Man, you know more about it than I do. you can find Tax Talk for You, or you can just go to taxtalkforyou.com, follow us over there, and then never miss an episode. And if you do, find the podcast. We're here to help, and we talk about taxes and small businesses, anything that has to do with taxes or even tax resolution, business, payroll, you name it. We're talking about it every week, Mondays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
Barry, I wanted to talk to you about this. I think I brought it up in past shows. We always talk about owner-operator truck drivers because you work with many of them. And we've talked about that many a times. Now, I'm always online. I'm always listening to talk shows on TV, and I see these national companies. And I'm going to tell you, I have never heard them talk about owner-operators, ever. All of a sudden, I've started hearing them talk about it. And I just wonder, and I do know that there are some of the companies, big companies out there that listen to the show because they've called me wanting a show of their own. But I think you let it out of the bag about owner operators because you work with them.
Steve, we've been working with owner operators for, close to 25 years now. A few years back, we started our own company called truckertaxtools.com, which is all geared to truckers and doing bookkeeping and taxes for truckers. If you're an owner operator, the Trucker Tax Tools plans start at $25 a week for bookkeeping and taxes. And it's the lowest cost in the country for the best service. We have specialized reports at truckertaxtools.com that we produce for our truckers when we're doing their bookkeeping and their taxes so that they can do things such as calculate their cost per mile, whether it's variable costs, fixed costs, things like that they can go in and easily use our reports to get their cost per mile. So they know that what they're charging, the clients for freight load, are they making money or not making money? But we saved many of these people from tax problems. And that's where it all grew out of, because after, 4 or 5 years of helping truckers with their tax problems, they came to us and said, can you do our bookkeeping and taxes to keep us out of these problems? And so, yes, we turned around and eventually set up a company called Trucker Tax Tools. You can go to truckertaxtools.com and see everything that we offer there and our low cost bookkeeping platform that we put out there for our clients. So, we do a lot to help in the owner operator business. They are self-employed. Many of them have become S corps. Many of them might have become multi-member partnerships. If they've got a partner, maybe their husband or wife are partners with them. We work to develop the tax strategies to keep their taxes to a minimum. And we do this for many companies, here all around Houston as well, with Taxation Solutions, helping companies save money on taxes, whether you're a trucker, whether you are owner operator or small business person. We are here to actually help you find ways to save money on taxes. But yeah, we actually enjoy owner operators, Taxation Solutions. We are a nationwide company. So if you have friends or family anywhere in the United States, and I've got clients all the way from Hawaii to Maine, from Alaska to Florida, and everything in between. So we help people nationwide. So if you got friends or family anywhere that has tax problems or needs help with their business, we can help them anywhere in the country. That's what we're set up for, and that's what we do. We may not have the national footprint or do the radio advertising of a national company and have that kind of budget for doing it. I also don't want to compete on their level. I want to be able to give people the knowledge and the clarity to be able to make the right decision and choose the right company based on the information that we give and that they're getting from us. if you want the pipe dream, some of those bigger companies out there that they say are bigger than we are, will sell you the pipe dream because that's what their job is to do as a salesman. You don't talk to salespeople here. We have no salesman working for us. You're talking to one of the staff members here, right here in the office, whether it's an admin, whether it's myself as an enrolled agent or another enrolled agent. You're going to talk to the professionals that deal with you on a daily basis. You're not talking to just some salesman who's just trying to sell you that pipe dream and get money from you and earn their commissions.
Barry, I always tell you that there's people who write us and tell us how much they love your stories. I've got a story. So about 12 years ago, a friend of ours, I didn't even know they had any tax problems. And we were just talking, and all of a sudden it got brought up somehow. And she was talking about how she's called several tax resolution companies, and this one wanted this much money, and this one wanted this much money. And I said, hey, I've got the greatest tax relief company out there. Give Barry Fowler a call, which she did. And you know what? You were the only one that was totally honest with her. And you told her you don't need our service. And I never forgot that, Barry, because other companies, oh, you got to pay us this amount just to get started with us. And that's just the way you have always run your business, fair and honest.
Hey, Steve, to update that story, I had somebody last month call me that said they had talked to you personally about a tax problem, and they called us because they heard it on the show, and they were talking to me, and they called one of the other companies out there, and they quoted him close to $5,000. Wow. And I was on the phone with him, and I said, wait a minute. How much do you owe? And so he was going through and telling me what he owes and everything else. And I said, they quoted you a fee that is like 1/3 of what you owe. And here's what you just need to do. And he goes, really? And I went, yeah. I said, that just saved you $5,000. And now you can go do this and work it out, and it'll be fine. And if you have a problem, call us later. Just dial our number, 877-996-6477. And we can help you from there, but it won't be $5,000, I promise you. And he's like, well, then why did they tell me that? I said, they told you right up front, they're trying to sell you a pipe dream, something you thought was just fantastic and great, but you didn't really think about it. You were paying $5,000 to settle a $15,000 tax debt, and it just didn't make sense. Didn't make sense to me. Shouldn't have made sense to you, but I understand. They were promising to be able to write off the other $10,000, which they wouldn't be able to do based on your situation. And this is what you need. Now, you can choose to have us do it, or you can go do these 3 things yourself. Your choice. He goes, well, I'm going to go try this first, and then I'll call you back. I said, great. Please do. So, we try to help people and save you money the best way and the most way we know how. There's sometimes there's not a sense of hiring somebody that's going to do something that I think is really simple enough for you to go do. And if you have a problem, then call me, and then we'll work out a payment that you can afford. And that's reasonable for what you're going to do. But you got to call us or see us at taxsolutions.net. And that's 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. And I hate that these shows go so quick.
I'm just looking to see. We have a show on the 14th coming up, which is our national show we do. And again, don't forget, Barry's got a show every Monday at 10 o'clock Eastern, I believe.
Tax Talk for You. Go to taxtalk4you.com. You can find our podcasts and all the major podcast sites, and including YouTube too, just like we can find Ask the Experts on YouTube and all the podcast sites as well.
Barry, this is without a doubt, and also thanks to the listeners too, because they write in their questions. This is the easiest show for me to do. I don't have to do any notes. I just kind of go by all the letters that come in. We appreciate that. But mostly, Barry, we appreciate you, Taxation Solutions. This is going to be a great year. I can feel it. 2026. Thank you so much, Barry. We love you, bro.
Thank you, Steve-O. Appreciate it, man. Everybody have a God blessed and very happy new year. If you got a tax problem, reach out and talk to us. Call us at 877-996-6477. We're available. Matter of fact, you call anytime, 24 hours a day, and somebody is going to answer the phone, whether it's the answering service, but we will help you. Hey, God bless you again, and have a very happy new year, man. We're looking forward to this whole year with you, Steve-O, and Ask the Experts.
See you next week, bro.
See you.
That's Barry Fowler with Taxation Solutions. Folks, if you've got a tax problem, please call Barry. Please do yourself a favor. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back in with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.